How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be talking about a bunch of tips to help you out with your Shiyu defense clears, especially making it a lot faster in order to clear it and gain more rewards. And something that I really want to give you in terms of some of the basic tips, some of the more in-depth tips that have saved me countless of times to get me to where I am when it comes to the 6th node of the final Shiyu defense, the one that actually rotates in and out. There's gonna be a couple of things I do want to say, some things that are gonna be very simple, some things that are gonna be not so simple in regards to team building, the characters you're building, and also how to level them up. There's a lot of things in between when it comes to how to get as much time saved as possible when it comes to clearing out your Shiyu defense, because of course with yuan coming out very soon, you want to make sure that you have as many polychromes as possible. Same with the actual shop credits that you get from Shiyu defense, W engine chips, tuners. There's so many things that come from this mode. You want to make sure that you're grabbing as much as possible before Yen gets here. So of course, with all y'all getting to level 30 to level 40, let's go ahead and get into the first few tips. Before we get to all that, make sure you leave a like, comment, sub, all the different type of stuff, and let me know where you are at currently in Shiyu defense, and let me know after the video is done and you do a little bit of these tips, how far did you get afterwards? I would love to see these in the comments below to see where everyone's at, because right now Shiyu 6 is a monster. This is a crazy DPS check and something I definitely want to look at later on as time goes by. But going ahead and talking about our first tip of the day, which is going to be something super simple, and it's going to seem something that is not really a tip because of how common sense it is. Level up your characters, especially mainly your DPS. For the most part, your DPS is going to be the wall between whether you clear something or you kill an enemy as quick as possible versus not clearing something and not killing the enemy at all. Right now, you want to make sure, since you're hitting to level 40 up until level 30 or 30 to 40, that you're leveling up your characters up to level 50 and also getting those W engines there as well. This is going to help you a lot in regards to the damage, because you are going to be scaled against the enemy, and if you're not the same level as the enemy or a little bit around that area, you start to take more damage and you start to do less damage, and you don't want that to happen, because that makes it that you're taking so much more time to clear out these mobs, which is going to be a pain in the butt if you leave them up, especially with not having your characters leveled. So your DPSs are 100% be the wall between you and clearing the Shiyu defense as fast as possible. But of course, talking about something that is actually inside Shiyu defense, when it comes to the blue layer, we are probably going to see this later down the line when it comes to the red layer or the actual Shiyu defense, but please bring one ally that is the recommended attribute for these enemies. And the reason I say that is because the shields that they give these enemies, they're pretty tanky, especially when you're not using the right element. When you're not using the right element, brute forcing these shields takes so much time off of you actually doing damage to the enemy, because you're trying to chip that shield away. If you have one single character, especially looking at how this fire enemy right here has a fire weakness and has a fire shield for the most part, I used Lucy only at that time when I did this Shiyu node, and Lucy was able to help me break that shield, which allowed me to go ahead and go straight for the health and making it so much faster for me to be able to clear. Now, of course, this comes at a cost for resources, but of course this video is here to tell you how to beat Shiyu defense the fastest. So number one thing, please bring the right element against the right enemy, because most of the time in the blue Shiyu nodes, these shields take a quite bit of time to brute force out of the way, and you really don't want to spend so much time doing so, because it takes so much time to get that shield out. And of course, you also want to look at the nodes in regards to what is available to you as passives, because this can help you in deciding what teammates you're going to bring, and also the most amount of damage you can put out, especially looking at this first buff where you get more ult energy regen and also getting more ultimate damage, something that is very valuable to a lot of these DPSs in the game. And specifically looking at characters like Soldier, characters like Ellen, all these other DPSs that have really strong ultimates, you want to make sure you're spamming them as much as possible, because you're getting this energy regen. And of course, you don't get this every single time. Some of these have higher impact, some of these have a higher daze or assist follow-up damage. There's a lot of different buffs. Make sure to play to those strengths and use what they're giving to you in terms of availability with all the buffs that they're giving you. One thing I want to preface a lot, and this is the biggest tip I'm going to say so far at the moment for Shiyu defense, which is bring characters that help with disorder. Disorder is such a strong thing to bring in the game, especially if you're not rocking a full mono team. And even if you are, I think the only mono team at the current moment that as strong is the disorder team is the ice team, and it's the premium ice team at that. The disorder team, looking at any mix of elements when it comes to maybe Anton, Soldier 11, or any other DPS that's not Piper or Grace, Piper and Grace are able to do some absolutely enormous damage, especially with their reactions alone. but with the disorder that they put on top, allows you to mow through almost every enemy on the field and even chip away at the boss super quickly because of how fast you're able to proc it with anomaly characters like Grace and Piper. So if you have any of these characters, which I know they're both summonable characters, so at the end of the day, it is a little bit of luck if you can take advantage of this. There are other characters you can do this with as well, with someone like Nicole, who is very fast at building up anomaly as well. You have characters like Anton, who's also doing the same thing for lightning. Disorder is going to be a lifesaver and will 100% save you some time because of how much damage it does. There are moments when I go with Piper and I'm hitting 60k assaults to 80k assaults, and with my disorder I'm hitting 120k, 100k disorders, and that is free damage just for mixing elements. So try not to stay only with mono teams because disorder is such a strong reaction, and I do have a video talking about disorder and how to proc it and how it works, and you really want to go ahead and abuse this now because I'm pretty sure as time goes by, disorder teams are going to be the way we play the game. It's going to be the most optimal way to get the most damage as time goes by, and I can 100% see that with mixing elements, getting two of the same element and that one off element just to proc that disorder. And especially with a lot of these allies that we have right now, they're able to give some enormous buffs with a different element that's going to help us out so much when it comes to damage and being able to chip off all the enemies in the field. It's just an amazing thing to go through and being able to proc these really strong disorders, basically deleting enemies in your way. One thing that I do want to preface as well, to get this out of the way and to save you the most amount of time as well with the disorder teams, is to start to get into the habit of clearing the ads first before the boss. Because right now in Shiyu defense, you don't really have this stipulation to you. You can basically deal with both at the same time and it's all good because they all take the same damage. But being able to clear the ads first and then the boss will set you up with a good, I guess you say, habit of being able to do so when you hit the red node of Shiyu defense. When you're in the red node of Shiyu defense, the bosses or the main elites that you will be fighting in these floors actually take a lot less damage if there's regular enemies on the field. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with ads super quickly, having a way to dispose of them super fast. That way you can go straight to the elite or you go to the boss and go straight for them and do as much damage as possible. 100% something you should get into the habit of, because if you stay with those enemies on the field, not only will they be doing attacks while you're trying to fight the boss, but as you get further in Shiyu defense, these enemies start spawning in rampantly. Like, I mean, after every 10% of health, new ads, new ads, new ads, and then you got 9 different ads shooting at you all at the same time while you're trying to fight the boss. You're spending more time dodging than you are doing damage for the boss or the elite. So you definitely want to get to the habit of dealing with ads immediately first, out of the way. That way you have no distractions when you're fighting the boss, because now that you can keep your rotations clean, you can keep your parries nice, you don't have to waste your time dodging every single time that there's an enemy trying to attack you. You can just focus on one enemy and that's it. It's really easy to mistakenly leave those characters alive or leave those enemies alive and just wasting so much time dodging when you think that you're saving time by not dealing with the ads outright. So go ahead and start dealing with those enemies as soon as possible. And the next one as well, for those that are getting into the red node of Shiyu defense, for those trying to summon for Ellen, for those trying to summon for Yuan, these are some high priority characters to go ahead and start working on when it comes to the first month of Shiyu defense, because this Shiyu defense will be giving you a lot in terms of ice damage and ether damage, which is going to overall help out these two characters a lot. There's not really any other characters at the moment that are corruption or I guess say ether or ice that are going to be able to deal as much damage with this buff on. So if you're building an electric team, you won't be clearing as fast as the ice and ether damage. So if you're going to be pulling for any of these two characters, definitely level them up. They're gonna 100% keep you basically perfect when it comes to the first layer of Shiyu defense and the second layer of Shiyu defense, but also will probably be a long time great investment as well. So either way, if you get Ellen, if you get Yuan, if you get both these characters are going to save you for sure when it comes to the red node for now. Of course, these buffs are going to rotate in and out as always when it comes to how these modes work in all the other Hoyoverse games. Eventually we'll see fire damage and let's say lightning damage, and we'll see more down the line as more characters come out, because these conform to the limited character if you didn't know that. So if a fire DPS comes out, you can expect the way they play. Fire damage is going to be bonused up on the red layer of Shiyu defense, and we're probably going to get some other buffs as well. As you see from the basic attack and dash attack, you get a damage increase by 50%. We'll probably get something similar to, like, let's say skills and ultimates if that character is going to be dealing with those and that's their biggest amount of damage. So you want to make sure that you're 100% investing in disorder teams, you're 100% investing in whatever is the current buff at the moment, because later down the line we are going to see that a lot of elements will be featured in these bonuses. So as time goes by, try and think about out which characters you're going to be pulling. You eventually want to have a really nice lightning DPS, electric DPS, ice DPS, and fire DPS, and then the rest are going to come as they go. A lot of characters are going to need these supports and these stunners at the moment that are going to be matching elements or being off elements to be able to proc that disorder. There's so many different ways that this meta could go through at the current moment, but I do think at the moment we're really scarce on the amount of really great DPSs we have at the moment, besides of course Ellen and Yuan and some other characters like Anton and Corin, which aren't the craziest versus their 5-star counterparts. But other than that, that's pretty much it going to be for all of Shiyu defense in regards to all the things you need to make note of and all the habits you want to start looking at. One thing as well, besides leveling up the character, once you hit that level 40 to level 35 range when it comes to building your characters, make sure to level up your talents, make sure to level up your core passes as much as possible, and not only that, start investing a little bit into disc drive, especially because when you look at the level 35 to 40 range, you're probably already done with leveling up your core 6 characters, and then going straight into the disc drive section, you can get a lot of really good domains that drop a lot of really good sets. Example, like the actual ice set drops with the anomaly proficiency set. That way you can start grinding for Ellen and also start grinding for characters like Piper and Grace that work off anomaly proficiency and mastery. Same way with the ether damage, this is a really good domain as well because it drops the ether damage bonus for Zhu Yan and also drops the energy regen pieces, which you would need for a bunch of other supports in the game. There's so much in this game right now that you're able to grind, and there's a lot of tips that you're going to be able to follow as you go further in the game. And in Shiyu defense, the stuff I've listed is definitely going to save you a lot of time because it got me as far as I got right now into Node 6, and that disorder team or the disorder damage that you're going to get is by far the #1 thing you should at least try when trying out Shiyu defense. But other than that, that's going to be it for this video when it comes to all the tips you need that are necessary for this. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.